Now, if theatres weren't facing existential threat, if cinemas weren't teetering upon the blink of commercial oblivion, if film and television production in this country hadn't ground to a shuddering halt over most of 2020, and indeed if live music venues and sundry other performance hubs weren't facing potential extinction, you might just be able to make a case for the Secretary of State for Culture prioritising a television programme's makers and insisting that they tell viewers it's not completely real. However, I don't want to upset you. If I want to upset you, I will. I'm not turning into a complete pussycat at the moment, but I am conscious of unnecessary tensions and unnecessary aggressions. So it's perfectly possible that I'm missing a really important piece or a really important point here. And in order to try to work out whether I am, I thought I'd have a look at what the Mail on Sunday reported yesterday, and the reasons that were given for requiring Netflix to put a sort of health warning at the beginning of The Crown. So first up, and most obviously, if you watch it and are bang up to date on it and you have a different view from me, then you might want to record the next bit of the programme, because it's not something I'm going to say out loud very often. Your opinion is considerably more important and better informed than mine. I watched one episode of the new series of The Crown. I caught myself getting interested in it. I reminded myself that we're essentially glamorising people whose entire achievement in life was an accident of birth. That's why they're in The Crown. I'm not suggesting they're not very admirable and important individuals in their own right, but the only reason you know they exist is because they were born into the royal family. And to see it sort of presented on television a bit like a soap opera just stuck in my craw a bit. So what is the problem that has prompted Oliver Dowden, the Culture Secretary, to stage a, quote, dramatic intervention in order to insist that Netflix, the platform, starts putting a sort of warning at the beginning of every episode, making it clear, as Oliver Dowden apparently said, I fear a generation of viewers who did not live through these events may mistake fiction for fact. I'm not sure there's anybody alive who lived through the private exchanges of Prince Charles and Diana, Princess of Wales, or indeed their sort of key courtiers and supporters, but it obviously refers to the public perception of these key events. And I mean, I never know in journalese. A friend of Prince Charles apparently told the Mail on Sunday on Saturday night, it is quite sinister the way that Morgan is clear. That's the scriptwriter, Peter Morgan. For once, Piers isn't involved in this particular brouhaha, although knowing Piers Morgan, he'll probably try to get stuck in on some level later this afternoon. But right now, the screenwriter, Peter Morgan, is accused of doing lasting damage to the monarchy, Prince Charles in particular. It is quite sinister the way that Morgan is clearly using light entertainment to drive a very overt Republican agenda, and people just don't see it. To which I would respond by saying, well, if you know it's light entertainment, why do you need to put a warning on it telling people essentially that it is light entertainment? Okay, that is what I want to know. And I might be able to scoff or mock or at least be befuddled by this, but I haven't watched it, so it may well be that there's a serious point I'm missing. It's going to have to be a very serious point, though, given that a friend of the Prince described it as light entertainment, while also apparently endorsing the idea that people need to be told it's light entertainment. I suppose we could start with you telling me whether you're watching it under the mistaken impression that it's 100% accurate and historically sound, and Peter